Okay, my friends, we are live again. Great, I really enjoyed it the last time. Let's see, people are already waiting here and we have almost, we have 10, 11 people waiting. Hello. Yeah, I'm pretty excited and it was absolutely fun the last time, and today I'm a bit more prepared, I would say. I hope you can all hear and see me well. I see what you're writing again here on the left side of the screen, and on the right side I have Blender and all the other things that I use, and you can see what I'm doing. Okay, nice. So let's see, I prepared some topics. I have an agenda this time. Love the word, agenda. Hi, yeah, okay, very good. Many people come in and join, that's great. On the agenda, let's have a look. I have this here in the OBS as an overlay. It's a great software, by the way, the OBS. For me, it's a bit like the Blender for streaming softwares, because yeah, it's free and it's amazing, powerful. Okay, let's see what we have as topics. We have, the first one is here, the polls. I want to talk about the poll that we have the last time. And after that, we are going to talk about memberships, just a few words about donations and that you can be a member now on Jayanam. And then we are talking about the add-ons, my Blender add-ons, mainly the Jmesh tools and JSculpt. And after that, the main topic, sculpting, because somebody asked how to, yeah, we will talk about this later on, how to add masks and how to paint certain things to stylized sculpting. Okay, great. So let's start with the poll. I can hide these things here so that we see what we are actually talking about. Okay, the poll. What was the poll? Let's go to the poll first. I have this here. Okay, I added this to the community tab. Hey guys, yesterday we had a live stream and it was great fun. Yes, it was. Thanks for joining. And then I asked if you would like live streams from time to time. And the second option was live streams on a regular basis, and the last one was no more live streams. Okay, and we have 51% of 235 votes that say yes, we want live streams from time to time. Okay, that's an amazing result, I have to say. What does it mean from time to time? I would say when I have something to say, when I have something new, or yeah, created something, or something that matches a certain live stream content, then I come up with a live stream and I show it. Okay, that means from time to time. The other option was on a regular basis, well, on weekends perhaps, but it doesn't have to be contradictory. I mean, when I have something, it's most of the time on weekends when I have the time, and then I come up. So about 80% want these live streams. That's great. We have 20%, about 20%, 22% that don't want to see live streams. I assume that the fear could be that I do the live streams and do less tutorials, but that's definitely not the case. I won't do that. The live streams will always be kind of on top of the tutorials, and I will do the tutorials as usual. Okay, so let's see what you're writing. Hello from Argentina. Yeah, hello. Do you have a patron? Yes, I have a patron, but I will talk about this in the next topic. Okay, that's a good. I just want to thank you for your short videos you post on Blender updates. Yes, I will do that, of course, again when we have something new, especially for sculpting. Pablo Dubarro is creating great new stuff there, and I will post the updates. Okay, so let's see. The next topic. The next topic is exactly what you said. Do you have a patron? Yes, I have a patron, and bring this a bit more down. Okay, this is about members and donations and also my patron. Okay, we added this join button. Okay, you can now be a member of Jayanam. This means when you press the join button here, you see what you get on being a member. You get this loyalty badge. Then you have these emojis that you can use in the chat, and you get 3D models. You get Blender tips for the books that I'm currently writing and shout outs on videos if you like. This is what you can expect, and the same you can expect here on for the Patreon. Okay, so when you are my Patreon, you get the same perks and you just support me. And as you know, I hopefully know, I'm not very much interested in the topic money. Okay, it is I do the things that I love to do, and I don't do this for the money, but of course I also need the money because I need the time. Okay, I don't do this here as a full-time job. I do this beside my regular job, and of course the goal is to do more stuff here on YouTube, to do more live streams, to do more tutorials, and of course I need time. So when you support me, I find the time to invest more in the add-ons, in my programming, in the tutorials, all this stuff. And this is why I want to ask you to support me. You can also support me here in the live chat by the, what is it called? The super chat, the super, I don't know, this dollar button that you see here. And then you can, if you can afford it, you can donate something also here in the chat. Okay, this would also be amazing. Okay, having that said, let's come to the main topics. And the next one is, of course, Blender and add-on development. Okay, this is this topic, add-on development. And I would say we jump to Blender and have a look at, first of all, my Jmesh tools add-on. It is not very much that I added, but a few things I wanted to show. And we have the default cube here, and I scale it down a bit, like so, just that we have something, you know, a bevel. I'm gonna bring this a bit like here, and then we can add a circular array. Okay, a circular array is this button. You can press it, and then you have a circular array. This is not a new feature, but what I changed is I added these buttons here to this UI that pops up, and you can press these buttons, and you see you can extend here the array. And of course you can also switch again to the edit mode and then press G, for instance, move it a bit backwards. Okay, something like that, and you see it is a circular array. And what I changed for the circular array is you have, when you close it, then still the modifier is attached. You have this here on the modifiers tab. And you see you have here this object offset, okay? Hi from Russia. Yeah, hi. Okay, I don't get this join button. Well, the join button is, by the way, let me come to this for a moment, below every video that you have, okay? When you open a video, then you have here this join button and you can become a member, okay? That's how you get it. Okay. Back to the array. Okay, the array is basically an array modifier, and you have here this object offset, and this is this empty object here in the center, okay? And of course, when you want to apply the array, what you have to do is to select the object, and then you have to apply, and after that you have to delete this empty object as well. And this could be a bit tedious, and this is why I extended the circle array a bit. And you can press now apply modifier, and when you do that, then the modifier is applied and the empty object is removed as well. And that's pretty handy. And yeah, let's try the primitive mode and add a circle here, for instance. Just paint it here by pressing Ctrl left click, paint it onto the mesh. You see, you can also center it by pressing this square, and then we move it here to the center, or we extrude it, and I have the operation set to create, and then I press Ctrl left click and we have this object created. And now you can again add here the circle array, and we had 8, I think. Okay, and now you have it here, 8 parts. Now I apply the modifier again, and then I press difference, and what happens is that these objects are now cut into the meshes, okay, in all the meshes of the array modifier. And this is pretty cool, I guess. Then you can bevel this to make it look a bit more crisp, like so, and play with the bevel. That looks frightening a bit. That's cool. Okay, great. And again, you can apply and change the segments and all this stuff. Okay. Hi to France. Yeah. Hello, Greg. Okay, so this is what I wanted to show, just a small addition. Okay, this is the Jmesh tools add-on. As you know, you find it on my GitHub. You have to see where I linked it. Yeah, here we have it, the Jmesh tools. It's free. You just can go ahead and download the zip file. And yeah, here's the installation instruction. Install it. It's free and quite helpful, I guess. Okay, great. What else? We have the JSculpt add-on, and there was a bug today. It was mentioned. And for the sculpt, yeah, let me add here a cube, and then I go here to the edit mode, press Ctrl Shift and B to add something like that. I just want to add in sculpt mode an object. Okay, let me go to the sculpt mode now, and here to the JSculpt add-on, and here's this add object mode, okay, where you can add objects to planes of the sculpt. And let's, for instance, use a torus, and then press add object mode, and then you can press Ctrl and Shift, no, Ctrl and left click, and then you add the torus, okay? And you bring it here a bit in, and you see this works now again. And there was a bug because the Blender API changed again. This is Blender 2.92, and in Blender 2.91 there was an API change. And I can show you this here. This was the raycast. And the raycast takes a parameter, and this has always been the viewport, okay, or the view layer that you have to pass. But in Blender 2.91, it's the depth graph that you have to pass. And yeah, so I was writing a small method here so that it is distinguished which Blender version you are currently using, and if the Blender version is greater or equal to 2.91, then the depth graph is returned, and in the other case just the view layer. Okay, so it will work for Blender 2.8 and Blender 2.9 as well. That was the goal. Yeah, okay, these are the things that I want to show for my add-ons, for the add-on development. Okay, guys, any questions so far? I come back to the chat now to see what you are writing. Hello from the Netherlands, great. Hi, I just joined, great. Could you tell me what are you modeling at the moment, or? Let's see. I'm modeling basically game objects, I'm sculpting, I'm creating all kind of models, characters, hard surface models, stuff like that, and of course also for games. And this is my main goal, to create game objects, game assets, rig them, animate them. This is what I do. Okay, more questions so far? All right, great. Okay, we have another topic, and this was sculpting, because I had a request to bring this down again. Okay, I had a request how I created certain parts of a stylized sculpting that X model, we can go to the project, this one. This is the X model that I created. Okay, it was sculpted with Blender, then it was retopoed, the materials were created with Substance Painter, and now what the question was how I created these parts here, these kind of runes or stuff like that. Okay, here's another question. I don't understand how I can render in cycles. Render in cycles, well, you have here on the render tab, at the moment I'm rendering here in Eevee, and when you set it here to cycles, then you will render with the cycles engine. So when you press F12, it will be rendered. At the moment I don't have a camera, but this is the basic setting that you have to change. Okay, this is the full project. This is the X completed. And what I did now to show you how I created these runes, how I painted them, kind of painted them onto the mesh, onto the sculpt, I created, or I go back to an earlier stage of development. And this is here the X12, okay? X12 is an earlier stage of the project. And you see here I sculpted the blade. And let's have a look at the statistics. It has about 1.5 million vertices, and this is enough to add details, okay? So let's see. This is sculpted with Blender, and the version is 2.92, and this is why I recommend to save often when you work with experimental versions like I do it. I like to work with experimental versions because I want to use the features of, especially for sculpting. Because Pablo is adding more and more stuff, and I want to test it, and therefore you need the experimental features. Okay, here's another question. Humble and good heart, man. I like you. Thanks sharing your experiences. Yes, you're very welcome, and it's great fun for me. Okay, now let's see, how can we do this? How can we add these details? And I will use my tablet now, okay? And here's my tablet. You see, it's a very small one. Get rid of this, sorry. It's a very small one, and I have about 7 or 8 tablets, not because I'm kind of crazy, but I tried a lot of tablets. And yeah, this is the one that I'm using at the moment because it is small. I can just connect it very easily. It has a good pressure sensitivity, and this is all I need, okay? And yeah, it's a Wacom Intuos S, and this is the one that I'm using, and I'm quite happy with it. And you see, you can navigate here in the viewport. I have the tablet, I can pen, I can zoom, and when you go here to the preferences, you can see my input, and I set it here to emulate 3-button mouse. And this is how I work. I have the tablet, and behind the tablet I have the keyboard. And then I can press the Alt key to rotate. I can press Alt and Control to zoom, and Alt and Shift to pan. Okay, and this is how you can nicely work with the tablet. And yeah, then I go to the sculpt mode now. And let me recommend again, save often when you're working with experimental versions like I do. Okay. That's really important. Okay, now let's use masks. Okay, I will use a mask now to paint stuff onto the blade, and this is how we are creating these details. I go here to the mask, activate it, then press F to bring down the size a bit, and when you paint, you see it is yeah, it is not really strong, and this is because you have to go here to the overlays and set it here to full, okay, so that it's really dark and you see what you're painting, and when you hold the control key you can paint away the mask, okay. And you can also here increase the strength to full strength, and here the radius, I also enabled this button. This is the pressure sensitivity for the radius. Okay, and now we can go ahead and paint something here onto this blade. And yeah, I don't have a reference at the moment. I'm just painting in some things from my head. Fantasy, runes, I don't know what it is. It doesn't matter for this video, you know. You can just a point here or something like that. Really doesn't matter. I just want to illustrate the technique, and it's not that important. And yeah, you have to play around with it, because when you start this, it feels like, yeah, you have to get used to it. It's really practice, okay? Practice, paint, experiment a little bit with it. And I did a lot of digital painting, and this is why I'm doing here very fast strokes. And once you are used to this, you can do this as well, okay? Just a few shapes and patterns. Okay, now moving a little bit this in and take away some parts, just to make it look a bit more interesting, okay? You go near, you see more details. Okay, stuff like that, okay? Okay, I think that's enough, perhaps a little bit more. Something like that. Okay. And now comes the trick. And the trick is very simple. You just invert this. You press Ctrl and the I key, and what you get then is the inverted mask. Okay. And then we can remove some parts that don't look too good. And here are also some shading issues, but they don't matter. That's okay. And I'll paint out here the parts that are not well masked. Something like that, yeah. Just a few strokes. Okay, I think that's enough for the tutorial. That's great. And what we are going to do now is I go here to the move tool, and by the way, save. We don't want to lose it. It doesn't mean that Blender is always crashing. It's just the experimental version that could crash, and I don't want it to crash now. Okay. So what I have now, I have the move tool selected, and then I go here to sculpt and set pivot. And I set the pivot here to the unmasked. And now I have the cursor, or the gizmo, sorry, the gizmo at this point that I can slightly move the unmasked parts a bit to the inside. You see? Just like that. Okay, then I press Alt and M to get rid of the mask. And then I have these nice shapes and patterns, okay? These details added to the mesh. And that's a great way of sculpting in details. Just paint in the mask and then work with the inverted mask and bring the details with the move tool, or also with the inflate to the inside to create shapes like that. And that's really nice. Okay, let's come to the questions. Is this video going to be uploaded? Yes, of course. Every live stream will be recorded. Okay, And that's also good for your donations, by the way. When you donate something in the live stream and press this donate button, it's not a fire and forget. Your name will pop up and the video is recorded, and then your name will be there forever. Okay, other questions. I hate sculpting, but I want to do. That sounds a bit contradictory, don't you think so? I mean, I have the opinion that you have to love the things that you want to do, because then you becoming better in this, okay? When you just want to have the result and don't love the way to get the result, then it could get tedious. I wouldn't do that. Okay. Other questions. Lovely greetings from Austria. Hey, hello to Austria. Thanks a lot. You're awesome. You're awesome as well. Okay, how to be like you in sculpting? Okay, that's a good question. I already made a tutorial about improving your sculpting skills. And basically, the main thing that matters most is to sculpt every day. And this sounds a bit hard, but it is like that. You really have to do it every day, not 4 hours or 8 hours, but at least perhaps an hour or something like that. And it's better to do, let's say, half an hour every day, and not 8 hours one day and then 2 weeks nothing. Okay, this is important. You have to get used to it, and you have to develop the feeling for the sculpting. Okay, how the pen works, how your tools are reacting. That's very important to be better, to become better in sculpting, and that's a common principle. It's the same for everything. For sculpting, for modeling, for programming, everything is the same. You have to get used to it, you have to do it, and you have to practice. And you have to love it. If you don't love it and practice, then I don't think that you are going to create very beautiful things. Okay, I don't think I can afford a tablet. Is it possible to get those good results with a mouse? Well, we can try it. We can try. I use the mouse now and sculpt in some cracks or some details. And for some parts it works, but other parts don't. You say you can't afford a tablet, but this tablet, for example, I don't promote it now. It's just my tablet that I use and that I bought. The tablet costs about $60. 60? 70? Something like that, okay? I think it is affordable in a way. If you don't have 60, 70 bucks, then you save it and finally buy it, okay? You have to invest at least a little bit. So let's try this with the mouse. Why not? I use now here the clay strips, and yeah, now I'm really using the mouse and I try to paint in something. And you see, very nice cracks here, and this can be done with the mouse, okay? I have the strength set to a lower value, and then you can add this kind of stuff. But of course, you have more control when you're using a tablet. Then are the things where you need pressure sensitivity. For instance, you have here the crease, and you want to add something like that, and you want the ends here of this crease to be finer. Okay, the finer details. Of course, you can go ahead now and use the pinch brush and pinch out these parts a bit, but it's a lot of work, and you get better results when you're using the tablet. So I would say there are many guys using, or many, I don't know, many guys, perhaps there are some guys using the mouse for sculpting, and finally, when you get used to it, you achieve pretty good results. But in my opinion, a tablet is worth the investment, at least to say. Okay, more questions. Good question, why always have to switch to Dynatopo instead of it being enabled per default? Well, basically the Dynatopo will be obsolete. okay? There is still the DIN topo, and I was a big fan of the DIN topo, but there is now the remesher, and the remesher is, with the latest extensions that Pablo did, faster than using dynamic topology. So you won't use DIN topo anymore in the future. Perhaps they will also remove it. I don't know, but there are discussions about this, but it is at least obsolete and not recommended to use it anymore. Okay, Wacom Intuos $70 works great. Yes, the Wacom Intuos, I have the Wacom Intuos S. This is the small edition. There's a larger one. This is a bit more costly. How to use DIN topo? DIN topo, well, you have to activate this here. Then you have dynamic topology, and perhaps it will crash now because I have a lot of... It is a very high poly mesh, but basically you enable it by this button, and then there are some options. I have, by the way, a tutorial for dynamic topology. I will post it, and then you can have a look. Okay, I have a doubt. What is the best way to do UV mark seams when doing a high poly? How I would manage that? You don't. You don't, because what you're doing when you have a high poly is you're doing retopology first. Then after the retopology, you're doing the UV unwrapping, and then you're going to bake the details that you sculpted to your high poly mesh onto the low poly mesh. And this is what you do. This is how you are creating your game objects, your game assets. Okay, you can't bring such a high poly mesh into your game engine. It won't be able to handle this. Okay, the high poly mesh is just to sculpt the details onto it, and then you bake it onto the retopo mesh. Okay, this is how you do it, and I have quite a few tutorials about that workflow. Okay, let's see what else. Remesh does not add topology. No, it doesn't add topology. What remesh does is you can do this. Now this object here has 1.4 million vertices. I have DIN topo activated, so I guess we have to reload this to proper work with it. But what remesh does, I load it again, just that you see. I load it again. This is the original project. We are going to lose this now, what we sculpted, but anyway, the model is finished. Okay, now I get rid of the mask, and what I do now is I do a remesh. And at the moment you see here we have a voxel size which is pretty high. You can also see the voxel size when you press Shift and the R key. Then you see this is a pretty high. You don't see the mesh in this high resolution. But when you go here to the wireframe, you can see that this is pretty high. Okay, and then you do the remesh and set it now to, let's say, a different resolution. Let's set it to something that is a bit lower. And then you see you're going to lose the details. When I remesh now, you'll see if this works. It takes a while. And now you see we have a retopo, a remesh. This is not going to add topology. This is remeshing the whole thing. Okay, and now you're losing, of course, the topology. But basically the workflow is, when you work with remesh, that you start with your base mesh, and then you're increasing more and more the resolution, and with a higher resolution you can add more and more details. This is the way you're working with it. Okay, what's favorite workflow when creating characters? Oh, that's a very common question. Well, which kind of characters? By the way, I'm creating low poly characters. Okay, you can see this here. I can open this up, why not? Let's have a look here at the low poly game kit, for instance, that I created. And this also contains characters like this one. This is a very low poly character, and with this, yeah, you start box modeling. Just by adding meshes and then extending, extruding, and so on. But when you're creating characters that have more details, then you also start, like I did for the X, with the base mesh, then you go more and more into details and you sculpt it, then you do a retopo and bake the details onto the low poly mesh. This is how you proceed. And when you have the retopo made, then you have to rig. And after rigging, this means adding the bones to the character, then you're going to animate. And then you bring it into the engine, like Unity, Unreal Engine, Godot, whatever. Thanks. So nice workflow. Could be modeling first and use the multi-res and bake normals from. Yes, of course. Can also be done. I have a tutorial for the multi-resolution. You can follow along the X tutorial. We have it here. Okay, this is the tutorial here with creating the X, and the last part has been where I brought the model then into Unreal Engine. This one here. And then you have the model in the game engine, and you can, with all the normals, with the materials and all this stuff. Okay, but yeah, tell me if you need more detailed tutorials. You can also write here which kind of tutorials you would like to see. This would be great. I'm always happy to create something that you need and that you want to see. Okay. All right, guys. So this is what I want to talk about today. I hope you found it interesting. The next part, the next tutorial that we have will be a more basic tutorial. It will be about array modifier, curve modifiers. I've already uploaded this and it will come on Tuesday. Okay. Okay, last question. For making games, are we supposed to use sculpting or poly modeling? Well, it depends on the game. It depends on the style. If you're going for realistic characters or realistic buildings or whatever, then not recommend. Then you have to use sculpting most of the time, or you are a very good modeler that can model the details and is not going to bake the details onto the mesh. But if the game is a low poly game, then of course you do the normal or the low poly modeling approach. Okay, man, you the best. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Okay, guys, tell me, should we do more live streams? I really enjoy it. It's great. It would be great if you could support me a little bit by donating either here in the live streams, would be amazing, or by being my patron or becoming a member. Again, have a look at the perks. It could be interesting for you. You could use these emojis in the chat, or you get parts of my book for free that I'm currently writing about Blender and game development. You get the 3D models. So think about it, press the join button, become a member, and I will extend this also more and more, this membership model. It's not my goal to hide something behind a paywall, okay? Because I don't like it. Also my add-ons are for free, and I want them to stay free. It's not my goal to hide things behind paywalls. It's not. Yeah, I don't like it. But of course, I need some support, and this is why I mention it. Okay, guys, it was fun again. More live streams would be fantastic. Okay, I will do. I really enjoy it. So, you're great. You're a great source of Blender info. Okay, thank you very much. So, I say, have a good night or a good day, wherever and whenever you are at the moment, and a good life. Stay healthy, strong, motivated, as I am, and I'll see you soon in the next one. Okay? Bye.